Have you ever stopped to wonder why certain people cross your path and leave a lasting impression, while others barely stir a response? Why a glance, a smile, or even a simple interaction with someone can awaken something so powerful inside you that it feels almost fated? It's easy to attribute these moments to chemistry, luck, or timing, but beneath the surface, something far deeper may be at play, something rooted not in the other person, but in you. Carl Jung, one of the most influential psychologists of the 20th century, believed that our emotional responses to others are rarely accidental. According to him, we are constantly being drawn to people who reflect unrecognized aspects of our own psyche. In other words, we are not merely meeting others, we are meeting parts of ourselves through them. The people we attract and the ones who feel inexplicably drawn to us are often mirrors of something within us. A longing, a wound, a shadow, or even a dormant potential waiting to emerge. Think about someone from your past. Perhaps they were calm, grounded, and wise. You felt drawn to them, but not because they entertained you or dazzled you. Instead, you felt a pull because their presence awakened a sense of stability you lacked. Or perhaps it was the opposite, someone wild, unpredictable, even chaotic, but whose presence electrified your soul. What drew you in wasn't just who they were, but what they awakened in you. That awakening may have come in the form of fascination, discomfort, admiration, or even pain, and all of these reactions are signals. Jung introduced the concept of projection to explain how we unconsciously assign internal qualities, especially the ones we don't fully recognize, onto the people we encounter. Imagine the mind as a vast landscape, with valleys of suppressed feelings, hills of forgotten dreams, and forests of fears. Most of the time, we navigate the surface unaware of what lies below. But then someone enters our life and suddenly, a door opens. We project our buried traits onto them. We see confidence where we feel insecurity. We see freedom where we feel trapped. And unknowingly, we fall in love. Not just with them, but with the missing parts of ourselves they seem to carry. This is the beginning of many love stories, friendships, and even rivalries. It's why we sometimes feel an intense connection to someone we've just met. Our unconscious recognizes something familiar, a piece of our puzzle, and reaches out. This is also why certain people feel magnetic to us. It's not about beauty or charm alone. It's about resonance. They vibrate at a frequency our soul has been quietly tuning into, even if we haven't realized it. But here's where it gets even more fascinating and complex. Sometimes, what we attract isn't what we lack, but what we're trying to avoid. If you've ever found yourself repeatedly connecting with people who trigger your deepest fears, challenge your emotional boundaries, or highlight your insecurities, it may not be bad luck. It may be your psyche trying to heal. Jung believed that unresolved wounds, and especially from childhood, have a gravitational pull. We're drawn to situations and people that unconsciously help us confront those wounds, whether we're ready or not. For example, someone who grew up feeling invisible might attract partners who are emotionally unavailable, not because they enjoy the pain, but because part of them is trying to rewrite the original story. A part of them believes, maybe if I can make this person see me, I'll finally feel worthy. This isn't love. It's a psychological reenactment. And yet it feels like love because it mimics the intensity we associate with connection. So why do people fall in love with you? The truth is, it may have less to do with your personality and more to do with what you awaken in them. You might represent a sense of peace to someone who lives in chaos. You might embody the adventure someone never allowed themselves to chase. Or you may mirror a shadow, a part of themselves they've buried and are terrified to face. You become not just a person in their life, but a symbol in their unconscious. And while all of this sounds romantic, almost poetic, it also comes with a warning. When relationships are based on unconscious projections, they can be fragile. Because what happens when the illusion fades? When the real you shows up, with your flaws, your past, your fears, the other person may feel disappointed, not because you've changed, but because their projection has collapsed. This is why so many relationships that begin with fire end in confusion. The mirror cracks, the truth is revealed, and now the real work begins. Understanding this gives us power. If we become conscious of the psychological patterns behind who we attract and who we're drawn to, we gain the ability to respond with awareness rather than reflex. We can ask, am I truly connecting with this person, or just with what they represent to me? And why do I feel so seen by them? What part of me is surfacing that I haven't honored before? This awareness doesn't kill love. It deepens it. Because the ultimate purpose of attraction is not possession, but transformation. Every person you feel drawn to holds up a mirror. Some show you your light, others your darkness. But all of them are messengers from the depths of your soul. It's a strange paradox, isn't it? We spend our lives searching for someone to complete us, to understand us, to love us in a way that finally makes us feel whole. We believe love is something we find in the eyes of another. And yet, Jung suggests something far more unsettling and far more liberating. What we truly seek in the other is, in fact, ourselves. Think about it. How many of your past relationships felt like they were destined? How many began with intensity, with an overwhelming sense of connection, only to dissolve into confusion or pain? And in those moments of disillusionment, did you ever ask yourself, what exactly was I in love with? The truth may be difficult to admit. You may not have been in love with the real person at all. You were in love with the role they played in your unconscious drama. They were an actor in a script written long before you met them. This is the heart of Jung's idea. Much of love is projection. We don't just see people, we cast them. We assign them roles based on our unhealed wounds, our forgotten desires, our inner child's needs. It's as if we carry an invisible template inside us, and when someone fits it, or even just resembles it, we feel that magnetic pull. But the danger of projection is that it's unsustainable. Eventually, the real person emerges, and if we haven't prepared for that shift, we fall into disappointment, even resentment. This is where most relationships collapse. The spell breaks, the fantasy fades, and we are left with a decision. Do I now love this person as they truly are, or did I only love what they symbolized to me? If we're not ready to see the other as a complex human, full of contradictions, past pains, and growth still in progress, we retreat, we repeat, we project again. But what if we chose a different path? What if, instead of using relationships to fill us, we used them to reveal us? Jung proposed that love, when conscious, is one of the most powerful tools for individuation, the process by which we become whole. It is through the mirror of the other that we encounter the unlived parts of ourselves, the assertiveness we fear, the tenderness we suppress, the freedom we crave, and sometimes even the chaos we secretly carry. This process is not always gentle. Often it's violent, not physically but emotionally. The people who awaken the most love in us also awaken our deepest fears. They touch the places where we feel most vulnerable, and that's why we both crave and resist love. We want to be seen, but we fear what being seen might expose. There are people you've met who brought out sides of you that had been dormant for years. Your laughter, your rage, your creativity, your jealousy. They didn't give you these things. They merely created the emotional environment where those energies could surface. Whether the relationship lasted or not is irrelevant. What matters is that you were changed by it. And here lies the secret. The purpose of love is not always to last. Sometimes it arrives simply to teach, to awaken, to catalyze. Some people are not meant to walk with us forever. They are meant to shake the ground beneath us so that we never walk the same again. If this resonates with you, if you've ever felt that a relationship broke you open just enough for the light to get in, then you understand what Jung meant by the transformative nature of love. But let me ask you something personal. Have you ever realized in hindsight that the person you loved most wasn't the one who stayed, but the one who showed you who you really were beneath your defenses? Before we move on, I'd like to invite you to take a moment to reflect on your own story. Think about the relationships that changed you, the ones that left a scar or planted a seed. What did they reveal about you? What part of your shadow, your light, your history did they awaken? And if you're feeling brave, share that insight with us in the comments. Not just to tell your story, but to help others recognize their own. What did that connection mean for your growth? Your honesty might be the mirror someone else needs today. Also, if you're resonating with this journey so far, I gently invite you to subscribe to the channel, not because it's what every video says, but because here, we're not just building content, we're building inner conversations. If you find value in that, this space is yours too. There is a quiet force within us, a force we rarely acknowledge, but one that shapes almost every important relationship we have. This force is not romantic. It is not conscious. It doesn't care about timing, appearances, or logic. What it does care about is repetition. It is the psychological impulse to recreate the past in the present, especially the unresolved parts. This is the power of the emotional blueprint, the hidden pattern left behind by our earliest relationships. Carl Jung often spoke about what he called the original wound, a psychic imprint formed during childhood, often through moments of abandonment, rejection, or emotional absence. This wound becomes a lens through which we view the world and, more specifically, through which we experience love. And unless we become aware of it, we will continue to recreate its narrative again and again through the people we are drawn to. Let's make this real. Imagine someone who, as a child, felt emotionally invisible. Perhaps their caregivers were physically present, but emotionally distant. That child grows into an adult who unconsciously seeks intensity in relationships, confusing emotional highs and lows with connection. Why? Because they are chasing the emotional availability they never received. They aren't just looking for love, and they are trying to rewrite a story that left them incomplete. Or consider someone who learned early on that love had to be earned through performance, perfection, or self-sacrifice. As adults, they may find themselves repeatedly drawn to partners who withhold affection, hoping that this time, if they just love enough, they'll finally be worthy. It's not conscious. It feels like love, but it's actually a reenactment of pain. Jung would say that this isn't our fault. It's the psyche trying to heal itself. The unconscious pulls us toward people who resemble the emotional dynamic that first hurt us, not out of cruelty, but out of an unconscious desire to resolve it. It's as if our soul is saying, maybe this time, I'll get it right. But unless we recognize the pattern, we repeat it endlessly. So why do some people fall in love with you so deeply, even when it doesn't make logical sense? It could be that you unknowingly carry the emotional energy of someone important in their past, someone they are trying to understand, forgive, or outgrow. You might remind them, on a soul level, of the love they longed for and never received. Or you may trigger in them the very same emotional dilemmas they've been running from. And when that happens, the connection feels overwhelming, like destiny, but it's often the past, dressed in a new face. Here's the hard truth. Not every intense connection is healthy. Not every deep attraction is a sign to move forward. Sometimes it's a signal to pause and ask, what is this really about? But here's the gift. These relationships, no matter how painful, are not meaningless. They are messengers. They carry insight. They shine light on the parts of us that are still bleeding. And if we choose to listen, truly listen, we can turn those stories into healing. The moment you recognize your emotional blueprint is the moment you take back your power. You begin to see that love is not just about chemistry or fate, but about readiness. Readiness to grow. Readiness to be seen not as a savior or a reflection, but as a real, flawed, evolving human being. And when two people meet from this place, not of need, but of awareness, the relationship becomes something radically different. It becomes a space of expansion rather than survival, a space of conscious co-creation rather than unconscious repetition. You are no longer trying to be completed. You are choosing to be witnessed. Jung believed that this kind of love, conscious, transformative, unafraid of the shadow, is what leads us to individuation, to becoming whole. Not perfect, not immune to pain, but whole, capable of embracing every part of ourselves and therefore capable of embracing another in truth. And now I ask you again, not as a host, but as a fellow traveler in this journey. What patterns have shown up in your relationships again and again? Have you ever felt like you were replaying the same emotional movie, just with different actors? If you feel comfortable, share a moment in your life when love revealed something uncomfortable or profound about who you are. Let's not just comment to be seen. Let's use this space to understand each other. The stories we tell here may be the mirrors someone else has been searching for. We often believe that love should be easy, that when it's right, it flows without effort, without friction, without fear. And yet, the love that transforms us most deeply is rarely calm. It rattles us. It peels back our layers. It exposes the parts of us we were hoping no one would ever see. But Jung would say this is not a flaw in love. It is its purpose. True love is not comfort. True love is revelation. Every person who comes into your life with intensity, whether they stay for years or disappear in weeks, is part of a sacred unfolding. Some arrive like fire, burning through your illusions. Others arrive like wind, gently stirring emotions long asleep. And some arrive like mirrors, showing you sides of yourself you never dared to acknowledge. These encounters are not mere coincidences. They are orchestrated by the deeper intelligence of your psyche, the part of you that wants to become whole, even if it cost you your certainty. Jung called this process the integration of the shadow, the meeting of what we hide with what we are. When we love unconsciously, we run the risk of projecting our unlived lives onto others. But when we love with awareness, we enter a dialogue between souls. No longer needing the other to complete us, we can see them clearly. And in doing so, we begin to see ourselves more clearly too. Let's return to the question from the beginning. Why do people fall in love with you? Perhaps it's not because of how you look or what you say. Perhaps it's because you symbolize something in their unconscious they desperately want to understand or remember. Maybe you represent freedom to someone who has felt trapped for decades, or stability to someone who's only ever known chaos, or even vulnerability to someone who has spent their life pretending to be invincible. The people who fall in love with you are not just reacting to you, they're reacting to what your energy unlocks in them. That is a tremendous responsibility, and also a sacred one. But let's go further. Have you ever wondered why some people run away just when things start to feel real? Why they disappear after sharing moments of deep connection? Why they sabotage what could have been beautiful? It may not be because they didn't care. It may be because they cared more than they could handle. Because love, when it touches the core, demands transformation. And transformation is terrifying. To love is to be changed, to be mirrored, to be dismantled and rebuilt. Many are not ready for this, and that's okay. Jung reminds us, not all encounters are meant to last, but all are meant to awaken. This is why the question of why they left, or why it ended, is not as important as what did it teach me. Did it show you where you still hide from yourself? Did it invite you to stand taller in your truth? Did it ask you to reclaim a part of yourself you had abandoned? When we shift from blame to reflection, we reclaim our power. We understand that relationships are not simply emotional events. They are spiritual invitations. They are classrooms, mirrors, maps. And so I leave you with this. Next time someone is drawn to you, don't just ask, "Do they love me?" Ask instead, what in me are they responding to? And more importantly, what in them is calling something in me to awaken? The greatest relationships are not those that never break. They are the ones that break you open in the best possible way. And now, as we close this journey together, I invite you to do 3 things, but not because it's expected, because it might deepen your experience here. First, if this video spoke to something inside you, if it made you feel seen or challenged or more alive, consider subscribing. But do it as a choice to keep exploring these layers of self with us, not just as a favor to the channel. Second, share your story. Not just your wins, but your transformations. Who have you attracted in your life that changed you? What did that love mirror back to you? What did it reveal? Third, share this video with someone who may be searching, not for love but for meaning in their relationships. Sometimes one insight, one perspective, can shift someone's path forever. This space is more than a channel. It's a place for those who are done running from their own depth. A place for those who know that love isn't just a feeling, it's a force, a mirror, a fire, a key. And if you've made it here, maybe it's because a part of you has always known that.